This week at NASA. Astronaut Steve Bowen will replace Tim Kopra on the next space shuttle mission. Kopra, a mission specialist on STS-133, was injured in a bicycle accident. Bowen began training with the STS-133 crew, which includes Commander Steve Lindsay, pilot Eric Bowe, and mission specialists Alvin Drew, Michael Barrett, and Nicole Stott. Bowen also will train to perform the mission's 2 planned spacewalks. A veteran flyer, Bowen has walked in space 5 times. His 2 new excursions will take place when he partners with Drew to move a failed ammonia pump and perform other external configurations to the International Space Station. STS-133 will deliver the permanent multi-purpose module, an external platform that holds large equipment and critical spare components for the station. It will also deliver Robonaut 2, or R2, the first human-like robot in space. The mission's target launch date is February 24th. On Valentine's Day, the Stardust spacecraft, which finished one history-making mission 5 years ago, will now complete another, getting up close and personal with the Comet Tempel 1. You may recall that Comet Tempel 1 was deliberately smashed into in 2005 as part of the Deep Impact mission to study the comet's interior. Now Tempel 1 will be revisited by the Stardust spacecraft for what is called the Stardust Next mission. At a news briefing held at NASA headquarters, Stardust scientists talked about this important landmark voyage.
Our last targeting maneuver as we approach the comet is 2 days out. That is the last maneuver that will be fully designed to target to our 200-kilometer flyby distance, and that will be executed 2 days before we arrive at the comet. Right after that maneuver, we'll be taking our last optical navigation images, and those are the images that we'll use to build our best prediction of our actual flyby point and the path of the trajectory of the comet relative to the spacecraft.
This is the first ever follow-up visit to a comet, and it will allow scientists to look for changes on a comet's surface caused by a close flyby.
All our major uncertainties or challenges, we've addressed all of them. So I'm frankly very, very confident in the results of that we're going to get a good flyby and good images of the comet.
On January 15, 2006, the Stardust spacecraft returned from a rendezvous with Cometville 2 and jettisoned its capsule containing particles collected directly from the comet, as well as interstellar dust. Also at headquarters, the agency's next Earth-observing satellite mission, Glory, was detailed at another briefing held in the James Webb Auditorium. Glory, scheduled to launch February 23rd, will study the impact of the sun and airborne particles on Earth's climate.
This will serve as a resource for making scientifically based economic, health, and policy decisions related to environmental change.
Both programs were broadcast live on NASA television and on the agency's website. The American Institute for Aeronautics and Astronautics presented NASA's chief technologist, Bobby Braun, with the Von Karman Lectureship in Astronautics Award. Braun was recognized for significantly advancing the understanding of the challenge of Mars entry, descent, and landing, and for developing systems concepts and technologies enabling Martian exploration programs. The Von Karman Award, named for astronautics pioneer Theodore Von Karman, is given annually by the AIAA to an individual who has distinguished themselves technically in the field of astronautics. The presentation was made at the AIAA's 49th Aerospace Sciences meeting in Orlando.
Now, Martin Luther King was the most famous. He was the best known of all the modern movement's personalities. But we should remember this was a people's movement.
NASA helped commemorate the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. with a special celebration at the Goddard Space Flight Center. Guest speaker was Dr. Julian Bond, former chairman of the NAACP and well-known civil rights leader and social activist.
We can't forget that Dr. King stood before and with thousands, the people who made that mighty movement what it was. From Jamestown's slave pens to Montgomery's boycotted buses, these ordinary women and men labored in obscurity, and from Montgomery forward, they provided the foot soldiers of the Freedom Army.
Students from the Duke Ellington School of the Arts in the District of Columbia rounded out the event with songs and dances